we took like all blacked out, black wheels, everything. Really nice. I put display. Then we went and I took it to Tesla. Everybody been prepared everything I've ever drove before.
Tesla?
Yeah.
There's no engine. It just goes.
And why do it fast? Dad didn't know anything about it. So he sat in the passenger seat, we're on the test drive. And he's holding his phone in his hand, he's looking at his phone. We pull out of the parking garage on 121, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, and his phone was, his hands go, he's like, whoa! And that car, I mean, this is the fastest thing in the roller coaster.
Because it's just electric motors that go.
Yeah.
You don't have an engine that goes to the transmission that turns an axle. It just motors go.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. So we just sat there in a little Tesla, started to talk to the guy about it for a long time.
Well, it's just a car.
There was a Model Y, which is like the Model 3. It's a smaller one. It's like base Model 35.
Yep.
And the Model Y is a little bit bigger. It has a hatch in the back. And it shares about 75% of its parts with the Model 3. So they're like almost the same car, but the other one is a little bigger. It has 5 seats, and it has room to put 2 more in the back.
Recent SUV.
It's like an SUV.
The sides looking like
No,
this.
not that one. That's the X. You know, that one holds the world record for towing.
Are you serious?
That SUV is 27,000 pounds and holds the world record.
Holy cow.
So I thought it was crazy.
So Spencer had a game Saturday morning at noon at Oak Park, or Old Oak, right there on Oak Grapevine. And that's going to go full traffic.
What's up, guys?
How are you, sir?
How are y'all? You guys good?
Hey, support.
I got it. Yeah, Costco. It's the best. Don't tell Under Armour. Am I on?
You're on mute. We are streaming this, by the way, today. So
What does that mean?
it's on Twitter.
Oh, it's live.
Yeah, but you're on mute right now. So I'll let one more person in. We'll get started.
You wash them?
I haven't yet. You guys hadn't figured out how to put the camera down into the TV yet?
I'll hold the TV and just stick it right there in the middle.
Huh?
We can lower the TV and lower the camera.
No, I'm just kidding. It's good. It's good. Oh, I can take this off, can I? What's up, guys?
All right. We'll start with questions for Coach Wells. As a reminder, if you are going to ask a question, please enable the video. We can. We have the TV set up to where we can see you. So we will. We'll just go ahead and start with questions from Don Williams.
Man, I was just perusing your depth chart a moment ago. With some of the guys like Zach Adams and Jesse Verhulst, DeMarcus Steele, some of those guys I noticed were not in the positions maybe we expected and also listed as backups. Can we deduce or assume from any of that there are some players who have missed significant time during camp?
Yeah, I think you can deduce that some of them have missed time. Yes, that would be accurate. And there's others, too, that's missed some time. But you're going to see, but I will say this, with those guys that you just mentioned, all those guys are going to play. All those guys are going to play. And how many reps and what it looks like, I think, is still to be determined. But you're going to see a lot of those guys in. We're going to rotate some O-linemen in. We're going to rotate a lot of DBs in. So I think you're going to see a lot.
To have Ethan Card listed first to left tackle, how has he performed over the past month?
Fairly consistent. He's stayed healthy. He's been available. I think I've been proud of Ethan. You know, really, Ethan's a guy, you know, as a high school qualifier that went to junior college for one fall and got here in January. You know, missing spring ball for him was tough because those would have been a ton of reps for him to be able to take. But he's done a nice job over the summer and then training camp, and he's been fairly consistent. I look for him, you know, even as the year goes on, the reps for him are going to really be significant, and I think you'll see a lot of improvement for him over time.
And one question on the linebackers: how easy or difficult was it to slot those guys in and decide who to play where? For example, with Rico at the strong side, at Sam, and Krishan at Mike, and Colin Schooler at the Willie. How much how much discussion went into which guy best fit which position, since I assume some of those guys could have played more than one linebacker?
Yeah, Don, I think you guys know we cross-train them quite a bit between those positions. And, I'm not going to get into positionless players at linebacker like, basketball coaches talk about, but those guys constantly are switching in and out in practice and in different drills. So they constantly play each one. They're in the same meeting room. Again, we do cross-train them quite a bit. So I think the discussion is a lot more minimal than maybe one would think.
Go to Eric Kelly.
Hey, Coach, so maybe unique to some of your season openers who have game film on that first team, Houston Baptist, with them having played. How helpful is that, and what have you kind of taken away from being able to watch one of their games?
Yeah, Eric, you obviously when you get one game tape, then confirms schematic things that you've studied over the summer. Probably the part that's a little bit better is more personnel evaluation and personnel driven. You're able to see how they're going to rotate their guys and get a look at some of their newcomers that were just names on a piece of paper over the month of August. So I think that's certainly what it does for you when you get a game that's already been played.
I don't know what peruse means, but looking at the depth chart, Colin came in a couple of weeks ago, and now he's starting. What has led to that, or what stood out about what he did in camp that made you confident in his ability to start?
Yeah, it's like I said last week when we talked about Colin, smart player, football junkie, understands schemes. Probably the best thing that he's done is really learn the adjustments. It's not, what do I do on this defensive call against this formation? It's the adjustment part. What if they come out in empty? What if they come out in unbalanced? What if it's 3-by-1? What if it's 3-by-1 into the boundary? What if it's formation into the boundary? All those kind of adjustments that defensive guys have to make, he's made those fairly quickly. He's an extremely smart football player, and he'll be very productive for us.
Go to Evan at News Channel 10.
Coach, can you talk about the fact that because there's so few teams playing this year as per normal, has it motivated your team at all to maybe try and go further than before? I mean, I know we're still a whole season away from playoffs and conference championships, but can you talk a little bit about the fact that you guys might be able to play for something that maybe hasn't before?
Evan, honestly, you were kind of cutting in and out. Just, you guys catch what the part of the question was?
Evan, try it again.
Yeah, Coach, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it was just kind of cutting in and out. I didn't quite hear the question.
Yeah, no worries. So with fewer teams playing this year, can you talk about the motivation this team has, your team has, to try and go further than before, to try and even maybe make the college playoffs this year, win a conference championship, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think, Evan, the focus around here has been to get in the Big 12 fight and go find a way to get to the month of November and be in meaningful games so that we can go win a Big 12 championship. That's the goal. It always has been and always will be here. If you're the Big 12 champ, probably you're going to be in the college football playoff. We've seen that certainly the last 3 or 4 years. So the playoffs, I think, take care of itself in our league.
Going to Jarrett Johnson.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Jarrett.
Hey, I noticed Alex Hogan, he had a good true freshman year last year, and then he was listed as a starter on the depth chart today. Just what does he bring to the team, to the field, and what has he done this offseason to get that designation?
Alex has done a nice job with Coach Jones since Coach Jones has been in here, really learning to be a better technician. Playing corner is such about your feet, your hands, and your eyes, and it's really a technique-driven position as well as a confidence position. And, there's going to be times where you give up a pass or you give up a shot, and it's kind of like a relief pitcher in baseball mentality. You've got to move to the next pitch. You've got to move to the next batter. And, I think Alex's better days are ahead of him. He's a very talented young man that's been pretty consistent in terms of his production in camp. but I think he's going to continue to get better. He's been very coachable. He's doing a lot of things the right way, and I'm looking forward to watching him play this fall.
Can you give us an update on just the quarterback room? How has Bowman looked? And then, of course, the battle for the backup spot between McGonigal and Columbia.
Yeah, I think Bowman's bigger and he's stronger than last year. Certainly keeping him healthy is the key for all of us. He is more knowledgeable in this offense. I think, again, just in terms of some of our scrimmage reps not being as high, those quarterbacks could take 1 million scrimmage reps, obviously, because we don't hit them in practice. And, with missing spring ball and even limited live reps this August training camp, Island's done a nice job. I think that's another guy. Hopefully we see him progress as the year goes on. Maverick and Henry right now for the backup spot. Just like I said last week, Jared, I think it's going to go here for a few weeks. Yost will continue to give them both reps and practice with the twos. So their evaluation will be continual through the week and even next week into our bye week next week and moving forward. Somebody needs to really, really separate himself from the other one to take that to be a solid two.
Go to John Sokoloff.
Hey, Matt, how's it going, man?
Hey, John.
So this kind of is based off Don's question a little bit as well, but obviously filling those voids, that left and right tackle spot is a big jobs to fill based on, the guys last year. How kind of comfortable and confident are you in Ethan and Josh at those spots now? Like, I know it's kind of hard to tell, having not played a game yet, but going into week one, how are you feeling about them?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about them. Feeling good about those two guys. They've had good training camps. Again, I think they're going to continue to improve, John. We've put a lot of different lineups. You guys know we love to cross-train guys, and we do. We practice a lot of guys. Jack Anderson's practiced at center for a while. Dawson Deaton's practiced at guard and left tackle. Weston Wright has practiced at center. That gives those guys confidence in practice. I think it'll help them, after college in their NFL draft stock as well as their NFL draft careers. But I think, Coach Farmer's continued to mix up the O-line during practice. And I think this year we're expecting variables to come up, whether it's injury or it's COVID related, and the ability to put your best 5 guys out there at any given time is going to be a key to playing more consistent on offense. And we all understand consistency in the offensive line is a lot related to your communication mentally. So I think being able to put them in different situations in practice will help those guys out. And I look, to see that happen. I'm anticipating, quite frankly, that happening as the year goes on. So we're not worried about that.
And the last one from me. So there's been so much uncertainty the last 6 months between, obviously, you guys and your team with the college football landscape, what it will look like. And now, finally, you guys are going to be able to go out there and play a football game, the first, collegiate sporting event in Lubbock for Texans March. I mean, how excited are you and your players to actually be able to get back out there and give fans, kind of an escape during all this uncertainty?
Yeah, that'll be a great moment for all of us, for coaches, players, fans, media, everybody around here. I don't know if you know, but it'll be 6 months to the day from that Thursday in Kansas City when our Tech basketball team walked off that court against Texas in the Big 12 tournament. It'll be 6 months to the day. That's a long 6 months for all of us. Football and sports is a great outlet for many. For us, it's what we do. It's what we do for a living. It's what our players do here at school. They're student athletes. You guys certainly cover it, so it's part of your job as well. But I think for the fans, it'll be a great moment. For our team to run out behind Fearless Champion, and what a great moment. Obviously very much look forward to it.
Go to Ronald Clark.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, we have high school football here in the state of Texas, and now, we've had some college games. Obviously, you've been able to see Houston Baptist play, but how encouraging is it for, all these football games to be going on when there was so much uncertainty and, some conferences said that they were going to play later in the spring, and now you guys are actually going to get to play a game? How encouraging is it that you will get through this season?
Well, I think it's encouraging we're going to get to play, and we know, Saturday it looks like we are playing, but I don't think anybody knows if we're getting through 10 games, so I can't predict that right now. But, certainly Saturday is something been a long time coming, whether you didn't know it on a big landscape, you didn't know it within the Big 12, and then certainly can we get through our corona test here at Texas Tech to even get to Saturday. We still got 2 more tests to go, so I'm hopeful that we'll have a bunch of negatives and be able to field a team on Saturday and go perform.
Go to Brandon Solis.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Hey, Brian, what's up?
Just a couple of questions. Looking at your roster, a lot of freshmen. 2 stick out to me: Jalen Polk and Caleb Rogers. What did they do in camp that impressed you, and to put Caleb as the second starting or the second backup at left tackle, and then Polk behind Eric?
Caleb did a nice job over the summer and through the OTAs and into training camp learning. He's been a really quick learner. It's come fairly natural for Caleb. Actually, maybe a little further ahead than we thought from a physical standpoint. Certainly still young, and I think we all know that. Caleb's got a really bright future ahead of himself. That's been a very much a bright spot on the O-line. Jalen Polk came here in January. Only had 4 spring ball practices, but was able to really develop in a couple months and did a nice job with Coach Scholes, gaining weight, the right weight. JP is a confident young man. Again, another guy with a bright future. All those freshman receivers I'm excited about. We've talked about them on these calls quite a bit. And JP is certainly, going to be, a guy in the future we're all talking about.
Then Brandon Boyer-Randall listed as the backup at the middle. Could we see him at Spur?
Oh yeah, guys. Again, going back to Don's question, please don't get hung up on what the letter is outside of a guy's name. You're going to see number 2 running around, and you may see different schemes. We could be in odd front, we could be in stack, we could be in old school 3-4, we could be in 4-3. May even see us lined up something like a 4-2-5. So where Brandon lines up, or Morgenstern, or Colin for that matter, I think again I refer back to Don's question earlier. Please don't get hung up on the position letter, because we do cross train those guys quite a bit, and we can change it right in the middle of the series if we need to.
Go to David Collier.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? I'm going to get into the
Sporting the friendship hat, man. You better be careful there.
Hey, I didn't want to put a college hat on. I figured this would be okay with you.
You gotta be. Well, no, it's fine with me. That's where my kids go. But LISD and Cooper may have something to say about that, and our private schools in town. And
I loved every single one of them. This one was the closest one to the computer.
Okay.
I'll wear a different one next week to make up for it.
Okay, I'll make sure and point that out so it gets in the manuscript.
Okay. I gotta go buy a Monterey hat now. I gotta do one each week, right?
Okay, you do. Go.
Houston Baptist, can you give us a quick scouting report? Obviously, a team that put up 500-plus yards against North Texas last week. I'm sure the defense has to be ready for what was a familiar offense that we've seen in West Texas.
Yeah, there's a lot of familiarity with that offense, and those coaches do a really good job. They're very, very good coaches. We know quite a few of them. I've had relationships with those guys since I've become the head coach here. I have a lot of respect for them. They played very, very well on offense Saturday. The QB, the 3 receivers, 22 and 12, the 2 outside receivers, the slot. These guys are seasoned. They're veterans. They know the offense. You can tell the confidence that they flip the ball around with. They really do a nice job. They present a major challenge to our defense right out of the gate. I wish we had a game last week before going into this game, to be honest with you, but they do a nice job. On defense, 42-1's the boundary safety. That guy is a head-hunting guy. He is a physical, aggressive player. 3, the corner, plays some into the boundary or mostly into the boundary, but a talented young man. So 9, they move him all over the place. Sometimes he's inside backer, sometimes he's a rush Raider type of backer like we do in our defense. But, so I think those guys are the ones that kind of, I know that jump off the screen. I saw a few of those guys even late in the game on Saturday, watching it live late Saturday. But, going back to your beginning of your question, offensively, they did play with some confidence, and they've got the ability to push the ball down the field very good. They did it last year. They certainly did it Saturday.
Go to Nathan.
Yeah, you're coming into your second year as the coach here, and usually the second off season, it's supposed to be easier for things to try to transfer over. But has this off season been any easier than your first year coming in when you're trying to install everything, or has it been more complicated with all the uncertainty kind of surrounding it?
Oh, it's I think it's more complicated. Nothing's been real normal since the day I just referenced, March 12th. January and February, just like I've told you guys before, I thought went very, very well for our guys. That was a real off season. We got real weight on the bar. We got into the indoor. It looked a whole lot more like a real off season that our staff is used to, definitely compared to the off season before, which we were starting from scratch a year before. But pandemic, quarantine, no, nothing. That's nothing normal for anybody, for any of us. And I like a lot of the stuff our guys did during quarantine. Thought we got some individuals make a lot of progress. I thought in terms of our stuff that we did as a team and team together and all that with the Zoom calls and our FaceTimes, and I think we certainly made progress there. But in terms of off season, you look at January, we were in a voluntary period. Coming back later than we're normal. We had no May. All those kind of things that, it was not normal. No, so anything from March to now is not even close. But it's what we're dealt with. So we'll be a no-excuse program. I'm a no-excuse head coach. And we're going to train our guys. I'm so proud of our guys. I really am. We've changed some of the ways we practiced. Obviously, training this summer was different. Nothing was real normal for any of our coaches or players. I'm proud of our players for how they've dealt with it. We've had some guys get positive. They've come back out. Very minimal in terms of what am I trying to say? The symptoms, I guess, from Corona. Again, we've had nobody take anything more than Tylenol, and our guys have been fine coming out, and we've done a nice job of really starting them slow. Our medical staff and strength staff and coaches all play a part in that and taking them slow. But, again, we're going to keep talking about this, I guess, but there's been nothing even close to normal, for the last 6 months, and I really commend our players for how they've handled it and getting to game week, and here we go.
All right, we'll go to Ryan King, then Jarrett Johnson, and Don Williams to end it.
Job, Dowdy.
Hey, Coach. Was curious, first of all, are there a couple of position groups you're excited to see now that you actually have a game here? Are there a few positions, maybe a couple players knows that you really want to see them against linebacker and see how those position groups match up against a real opponent?
Yeah, I think, very normal for game one. Not any different this year. You want to make sure your running backs have enough contact during the week, and you worry as a coach about contact fumbles, either with your wideouts or your running backs. Coach Yost does a great job with ball security. We've been pretty good, but I think that's one thing you're looking for in game one. How do you tackle live? Your linebackers, your safeties. How do you tackle when you're in a live game again? Those are probably two things that stand out to me.
I was also curious, is it nice that after this first game, obviously getting the win is the most important thing, but how nice is it that you immediately get a bye week so you can kind of work on the stuff that, maybe work on stuff that did work, but also things that you see weren't working? How nice is it to have a game and immediately get to have about 13 days to work on it before your next opponent?
Yeah, I think that's just a schedule change. We certainly weren't ready for that, or anticipating that, I should say, correct on that. But when the Big 12 brought the new schedule out, everybody in the Big 12 has a bye week. So, quite frankly, honestly, I'd rather play. I'd rather go play week 2. You make a lot of progress between week 1 and week 2. I certainly expect Houston Baptist to make a lot of progress between week 1 and week 2. I don't think there's any substitute guys for playing. I wish we went and played right after, to be honest with you.
Go to Jarrett Johnson.
Hey, Coach, heading into the season, what do you consider to be maybe the biggest strengths of the team, something that y'all are leaning on? And then what are a couple of things maybe that needs to come on as the season progresses?
Well, I think, Jarrett, there's a ton of individuals that are going to improve as the year goes on. To single out a position group, maybe kind of hard, because I think that as a coach, you just want to see where you're at, and you want to improve them. You want to improve every one of them each week, week to week. I certainly feel good about our upgraded talent level overall in terms of linebacker, especially. I think we've helped the depth at the running back position through development and recruiting, and I think our depth at receiver is better. I really do.
All right, we'll finish with Don Williams.
Hey, Matt, how many of those 12 guys that were positive have you gotten, that were announced last week, those 12 active cases, how many of those guys have you gotten back, if any?
Three,
Okay.
as of today.
And the Big 12 released the thresholds for how many players you have to play. How comfortably are you above the 53, or are you comfortably above the 53?
Well, I mean, Don, we're above it. There's no question, but we have 2 more tests this week.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a weekly question that nobody's going to really be able to answer till Friday afternoon, and then Dowdy won't let me have a press conference on Friday afternoon, so we'll just have to see at game time.
The running back rotation plan.
Yeah.
Obviously,
To be determined. So Roderick's going to take the lion's share of reps, but kind of to be determined. All those guys are playing well. They've adjusted well. You've got one that's moved a position, one that's been 3 positions in 3 years that just got here, and another one that's a true freshman. So I do believe we've helped that depth. We've improved that depth, but Sir Roderick Thompson he'll be the bell cow for a while, and I think Yost and DeAndre, Coach Yost and Coach Smith will have that probably finalized by the middle of this week on exactly how we're going to rotate them. But you'll see a bunch of them.
do you think has one guy come close to asserting himself as the top backup, or is it more of a situational type?
Yeah. I think we'll be able to get those guys in, Don, to whatever the rotation ends up being, and then I would think that'll be somewhat close to being determined for the first half, and then I think the second half you'll see Sir Roderick and whoever was hot or whoever's produced fairly well, or if they're all kind of the same, DeAndre may kind of go with the same type of rotation in the second half. I think that's a halftime adjustment and a decision that those guys on offense will make.
And did you say, just to confirm something, did you say on the Big 12 call that you have had a third guy opt out for this season?
We have.
Okay. Not going to identify any of those 3 still?
No, sir. I'll let them do it individually if they choose to.
All right, that'll do it for Coach. We'll have players here in just a minute. gonna be able to see them, but remember the camera's right off.
I got you.
Okay?
I gotta wear my mask.
No.
No. All right. Cool.
Everyone in here will do it. Make sure you're safe, so.
I got
We're
you.
on mute right now. Hey, we are streaming this too, so
Okay.
just know that. All right, we'll start with questions for Tommy Leggett, and we will start with Eric Kelly.
Hey Thomas, for you, from your perspective, what's different about the secondary this year than maybe last year that gives you hope that there will be a great improvement statistically?
All right. I feel like we got a lot more cohesiveness. Last year, we just kind of had a bunch of guys kind of thrown in either at new positions or from different universities, like with Zach, his case. So I feel like this year we got a lot more cohesiveness, guys who've been together a lot, guys who are, working together, and that, we just created a bond off the field as well. So I think that will help us on the field.
You and Eric are the two safeties starting on the depth chart. He's coming in from a new university. How have y'all gelled kind of at the top of that defense to where you feel comfortable and you kind of know what he's thinking and he knows what you're thinking?
Right. I think we just bring a veteran's outlook to our defense. I think we're kind of both field generals back there, and he's got a real good grasp of our defense coming in, from the summer. So he kind of knows what we expect in our defense, and shoot, after every play we talking we doing this over here, this to that. So every time we come to the sideline, we talk about what just happened, and I think I look forward to playing next to him this season.
Is it weird that you're playing a football game this week, and kind of what has stood out about Houston Baptist, at least what you've seen so far?
Right. I don't think it's too crazy. I mean, I'm just happy and blessed to be here. I'm glad that we're one of the conferences that are playing, and I'm just happy about that. But Houston Baptist, they got a bunch of skilled guys that can play ball. They run a hellacious offense. The Coach Kingsbury offense, and I mean we've been seeing that from whether it was Kingsbury or from Houston a couple of years ago and things like that. So their offense and their scheme is is good.
We have a question from Nathan.
In terms of kind of the off season, was there kind of a delay in you guys getting back into the flow of things, or this being the second year in this defensive system, has it been a little bit easier having that kind of delay in there?
I honestly think the delay helped us a little bit. I mean, we kind of got back when we could, whether it was from quarantine or whatever, guys' special cases were. I got here as soon as I could and, started hitting the weight room. And I was doing the most I could, away. And I was, blessed that my brother had a place for me to train. So guys kind of got back. And I think that helped us because it turned into more of a mental game. And I think that's what a lot of guys needed, especially with a bunch of young players coming in. So we kind of tuned it up a lot more mentally, and I think that helped us, know our defense even more. So right now it's just, perfecting it physically.
And for you guys, defensively, where do you guys need to improve as a unit? Where do you guys need to improve as a secondary from last year?
Right. I think we just, we need to be more confident. As far as the secondary room, I think we need to be, like I said earlier, just more cohesive, and I think we've already done that, as far as off the field and on the field. But just a confidence standpoint, I think Coach Jones brings that every single day, and he's kind of instilled that into us. Last year, I know a lot of guys, plays would happen, and, the confidence level would go down or this and that, and I think that as a DB, you have to be able to play the next play. So I think that's really what we've kind of harped on this offseason.
Go to Ryan King.
Hey Thomas, with the first real game here in quite a long time with an offseason that you don't even get the same physicality as normal, what do you really want to see out of yourself, out of the defense? What areas do you want to see tested to know you guys are confident whenever the Big 12 starts up with the second game of the season?
Right. I think it's just us swarming the ball. Always running to the ball and just playing with great effort. We, like you said, we haven't had much chances, whether it's, full pads or this or that. Just kind of everybody across America has been dealing with those limited practices or whatever. So I think it's really just effort to the ball and just, finishing every single play for us.
Go to Ronald Clark.
I don't know if you guys have really had the chance yet to just break down tape from Houston Baptist game on Saturday, but what did you see from that offense that, is going to be something big for you defense to focus on?
Right. I think it's their tempo, and obviously, like I said, they got a lot of skilled guys that can run and that can play from the receiver standpoint, running back, quarterbacks, obviously good as well. So I think their tempo is something that obviously we're gonna have to look into this week. And obviously our offense goes fast, but they do it as well, and they're good at what they do. So their tempo is something we're gonna have to be looking for it.
Go back to Eric Kelly.
Thomas, I guess the wily veteran in the secondary, what kind of is your role? Are you a vocal leader? Are you a guy that leads by example? What kind of leadership role are you going to take this?
Right. Me personally, I'm a lead by example guy, but the players will tell you on the field. I talk through everything. I'll if something's wrong, I'll go to the sideline. All right, what happened? All right, well, next time let's try to do this and that. And, Coach Patterson, he'll come over and he'll talk us through it as well. But I'm kind of the same guy. I'll know what happened before we even come off the field. So I'm like, look, guys, we need to work on this or that. But, I'm not too much vocal walking around the facility, and people know that. But when we get on the field, they know that, they can come to me and they'll ask me whatever. Even if it's the corners asking me, I know that position, the spur position, nickel position, whatever it is, I can help guys through whatever it is.
Obviously at safety, no one guy is going to replace the production that Doug had last year. But what did you kind of take away from watching him as a safety that you can kind of work into your game?
Right. Me and Doug were real close on and off the field, and I'd every day we'd hang out or whatever it was, and that was kind of the first guy when I first got to Texas Tech that I kind of latched on to and kind of took after or whatever. He just has a playmaker mentality, and that's just who he was, and that's something that I think we can all look at and kind of take away from it. Myself personally, that I look at with Doug. I mean, he was always working hard, and he was just a playmaker guy, so that's something I look forward to.
You talked about needing more confidence in the secondary. A lot of guys kind of got thrust into roles like you talked about, but can you just feel the younger guys have that confidence because they got those game reps last year?
Yeah, they definitely have, and I know a lot of them guys, that was kind of their first stage, or even with Zach, I know the Big Ten's is a great conference, but it's always different, and Big 12's air raid and this and that. So I think those guys just having that experience from last year gives them confidence going into this year.
Go to Jared Johnson.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
Good. Hey, y'all took some time recently to do some work in the community. Can you kind of give us some more insight on what y'all did and what it meant to you personally?
Yes, sir. So we kind of did a lot of going to the east side of Lubbock, which is the lower funded side of this town, and we kind of, the first time we went there, we kind of just went to give back, hang out with kids. Some guys were holding signs up to let them know that they can come register at the park we were at. And I think it was 2 days ago or a day ago, Saturday actually, we went and helped move some stuff around for this Habitat for Humanity. And that's just kind of like a house building project they're doing over there on the east side. And that to me, I mean, it's just, it's grateful, it's humbling that I'm in this position to help people. And, that's, from my standpoint, it's just, I want to support Black Lives Matter as much as I can, because, I mean, that's something I hold dear to my heart. So it's just being able to do that and seeing this university support behind that means a lot.
And then with Eric Monroe coming in, we don't really know him a lot, especially with kind of being closed with Corona and all that. Just give us an idea what he's like personality-wise and what he brings to the field.
Right. I mean, he came in day one, and he fit right in. I mean, he brings energy and juice every single day, and he's a guy that, I can already see myself creating a relationship outside of football with, because he's a good guy, and he's a cool dude. So him having that personality just helps him fit right into our defense as well. I mean, he comes out there, he brings energy, he talks. Like I said, he comes in, he knew the defense already when he came in. He's a smart guy. So, him having that type of personality is just only going to help us.
We'll go to John Sokoloff and then Don Williams to finish us up.
Hey, Thomas, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but how much better is this year's secondary compared to last? You know, last year, obviously, you guys were last in the Big 12 in terms of pass defense. So what kind of improvements have y'all made, and has that kind of provided bulletin board material for y'all?
Right. I mean, we kind of use that as a chip on our shoulder, and obviously that's not the result ever that we're looking for. From last year, we've learned a lot as a group, and I think that's our building point, our foundation. Like I said, we kind of had a lot of guys just thrown into positions or that's just new to this whole scheme and everything, and myself included. That was the first year I had to play with these guys. But I think now that we know the expectations and, you know, we kind of been around each other for longer, that, you know, it's just only going to help us from a confidence standpoint.
Go to Don Williams.
Thomas, how with the positive COVID test last week, taken out 12 of you guys had it, and the week before or so they announced 21 guys tested. How has that disrupted your defensive backfield unit, or has it forced some guys to play some reps and positions that they wouldn't normally have repped?
No, I don't think it's disrupted anything. I just, you know, we're going to have to be ready for this all season, and every other team will as well. So I think it just kind of got guys reps that in different positions or whatever it was, or younger guys that might have to step up and, you know, gladly that they got to take these reps now or earlier in the season so that they, you know what we're looking for.
You mentioned a moment ago that during the period where everybody went home, you said your brother had a place for you to work out. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Is that your brother that played at Clemson? Did you go back home to Florida, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. He was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so I kind of went down there for a few weeks or whatever, and it was nice to be able to, you know, work out with him, run some routes. He was running routes against me, and, you know, just getting some good work in.
All right, that'll do it for Thomas. We'll be back with Dalton Rigdon here in just a minute. I got you on mute right now.
Cool.
All right, we'll start with questions for Dalton, and we'll start with John Sokoloff.
What's up, Dalton? How you doing, man?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good. I just have two quick for you. The first is, all of you guys as starting receivers are coming back from last year. How much better is this year's receiver group?
I mean, I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun, especially with being year two into an offense. You know, last year, all of us were, you know, we were learning a brand new system, a brand new way of doing things. I think with it just being our second year, we have a lot more confidence in what we're doing, the game plan that we have, and I'm really excited to go and show that on Saturday.
And what's your relationship kind of been like with Allen? How has he looked, and how has he kind of helped you develop your game in this offense specifically? Because David Yost talked about it last week. You guys have been practicing under this system for the last, 2 years, so clearly he's well versed in it.
Yeah, Allen is a football junkie. That guy's in his playbook all the time, always asking questions, always trying to learn. I've been getting reps with Allen when he first got here, as a freshman. Just been building a relationship up with him for the past 3 years. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. I think he's really hungry and driven to come out and prove to everybody, that he's here to play and play well this year.
Go to Eric Kelly.
Dalton, last year kind of being a breakout year for you. You go from like 20-something receiving yards to almost 500. What's the next step now for you in 2020 as you go into your junior year?
Really, I guess the next step is trying to get on that Big 12 platform of getting votes for being all Big 12 selections, and honestly just continuing to improve my game every day. Never looking at what's happened in the past and being satisfied with it. Just continuing to be hungry to play better each and every week.
As a player, going off of that a little, what's the biggest area you think you've improved in that we'll notice a difference in between 2019 Dalton Rigdon and 2020 Dalton Rigdon?
There was one thing that I noticed throughout film that was kind of a tendency of mine, was being a little slow off the ball. You shouldn't ever see that happen with me again. It's something that I've looked at and noticed on film that I've taken, interest in improving. But really just, getting in the playbook and studying more and being more of a student of the game and just understanding, what the defense is trying to do to us and how our game plan is going to attack that.
And then it seems like there's going to be a lot of freshman receivers that come in and make an impact right away. Is there a younger guy that's kind of stood out to you through camp?
Miles Price is really good, and then Loic is also very good. Those guys are really explosive, go up, make competitive catches. Miles is, he's a student of the game. The guy's just naturally very gifted at playing football.
Go to Ryan King.
Hey, Coach. Dalton there. What will you be looking for against Houston Baptist? What do you want to learn from this first game?
I just really want to go out there and see where we are as a team right now. I want to see how well our conditioning is, and because we play really, really fast all the time, and I want to see how fast we can actually go out there week one and play and just try and get the offense moving as quickly as possible.
Go to John Williams.
Hey, Dalton. You were talking a moment ago about wanting to do better, being faster off the line. And I was thinking back, it seems like a month or so ago when we talked to you, I remember you talking about some fundamental type stuff. And I think you used the term shin angle. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you're talking about the shin angle that you have, yes.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So basically, Coach Luke is always teaching this. Whenever you're in your stance, basically your shin angle is just what the angle of your shin looks like in regards to having your knee over your toe with your lead leg in your receiver stance. So, if your shin angle is bad, you're going to have a tendency to rock back and forth and take a false step when getting off the line. If it's good, you're going to be a lot more explosive off the line.
And so you were more cognizant of that, more aware of it?
Yes.
Maybe than you have been in the past?
Yes, it's one thing that I tried to improve on. It's just a small thing when in the grand scheme of things, but it can make a big difference with just being that much quicker off the ball.
Right. Which is kind of ironic to hear you talk about it, because speed's kind of been your stock in trade your entire career, right?
Yes, sir.
But you can still be better. You can still find ways to get better at it, huh?
Absolutely.
Hey, you've always been a guy who's not the biggest guy in the world. Have you been able to put on much weight, or do you reach a point where it's like, hey, 165 pounds or so, I've still been able to make plays and make it work? Do you worry about it anymore? Think about it much anymore?
Yeah, I think about it. Actually, in the offseason, I was able to put on a little bit more weight with Coach Scholes and just trying to improve my diet and everything. But I do think it's still important because, it's a big misconception if you put on weight and you lose speed, but that's that's not necessarily the case, especially if it's done the right way and it's the proper weight. You actually should see speed numbers go up and strength numbers go up. So it's just, with all the weight room numbers, you're always wanting to be improving them and getting the most out of it as you can.
Go back to Eric Kelly.
Well, obviously, game one not going to be really any different because you have season openers every year. But what maybe in not having those other two pre-conference games do you kind of miss out on that will maybe be a little bit different, or you'll have to adjust to going right back into Texas after that?
Yeah, it's really just gonna come down to who is able to dial in earlier. Usually you've got those 2 extra weeks usually on the schedule that can kind of try and get you prepared for conference play. This year it's just really gonna come down to, like I said, who can make the adjustments early and who can just get rolling and start feeling good as conference starts.
And then from an offensive perspective, does it help at all to have week one and you have game tape on a team already from this year, or is it just kind of business as usual?
I think it helps a lot. You learn a lot through watching tape. It's very important. That's why we do it. It really just kind of, I like it because it gives us a opportunity to really get a solid game plan set in stone with what we've seen in 2020, who they've got back there. We get to personnel everything. I think it's a really good thing for us to have that.
And what stands out kind of about their secondary and maybe their defense as a whole?
I'm just now getting into their game film. I would have a better answer for you on Thursday towards that. But, we're just going to go out there and do what we do. We're going to play fast, and we're going to try and put as big a numbers up as we can, honestly.
All right. That should do us for today. Just a reminder, we will have coordinators around 5:10, 5:15 this afternoon. So look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.